welcome to Fantasia, home of the Melodious. My name's Azallea, and today, gonna be bringing you guys another update to my Ritual Beast deck. Now, this is going to be a pure build, not like the Wind Witch builds that I've been doing previously, but this deck will be updated to the new June 2017 ban list. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into this. So, starting off, one of the key pieces in the deck, and the starter of almost all of our first turn combos, Ritual Beast Tamer Elder. Now, Elder allows you to normal summon another Ritual Beast monster during the turn that you normal summon this card, so he is absolutely amazing. Next off, these cards that we don't really want to see in our opening hand, but it's okay because we're playing a field spell build of this deck. We are actually playing one copy of Ritual Beast Tamer Wen. Now, Wen, if you normal summon her, you can special summon a Ritual Beast monster from your Banish Zone, and so she's pretty good late game if you do draw into her, but typically you don't want to get things out of your Banish Zone because that is your most important pool of resources. So next off, we actually play one copy of Ritual Beast Tamer Zephyrimpilica. Now, the difference between Zephyrimpilica and Wen is that Zephyrimpilica, if you normal summon her, she can special summon a Ritual Beast monster from your graveyard, which is always really nice because you want to get things out of your graveyard either onto the field or into the Banish Zone. So that's always great. Important thing to keep in mind though is that Zephyrimpilica, whatever she brings back from the graveyard gets destroyed during the end phase of that turn. So it's best that you fuse with it or you XYZ with it or anything like that, just so that you don't lose advantage that could have potentially been another free card for you. Another important thing to know is that she is a pendulum monster, so if she's destroyed while she's on the field, she'll go to your extra deck, which means it's almost impossible to get her out unless you have access to something like Rapengu, which we'll actually touch on in just a bit. But that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so next card that we play is one copy of Best Girl, Ritual Beast Tamer Lara. Lara has the same effect as Zephyrimpilica, where you can, if she's normal summoned, special summon a Ritual Beast monster from your graveyard, but it actually won't be destroyed during the end phase, so that's kind of nice. She also has 2,000 defense, so it's really good to tag out into her during your opponent's turn, so your opponent cannot run over your monsters, or have a tougher time running over your monsters. Okay, anyway, the last tamer that we play is actually going to help us transition to the Spiritual Beast monsters, is one copy of Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda. Now, Winda is a floater for the deck, so if she's destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon a Ritual Beast monster from your deck or your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, which is really nice for bringing out beat sticks like Ulti Guy Pelio, or for bringing out whatever you'll need for your next turn, like a Rapengu, a Kanahawk, Apoleo, and things like that. So, really versatile card, and I do like her. I only play one. I only believe that you need one. You don't ever want to see multiples because she doesn't gain any effects when she's summoned. Elder allows you to go for extra normal summon when Zephyrimpilica and Lara bring things back from the Banish Zone and graveyard respectively, but Winda, she just doesn't do anything when she's summoned, so you don't ever want to draw into her. The way you gain access to her is actually mostly through this next card, which is going to be Spiritual Beast Kanahawk. Now, Kanahawk allows you to banish a Ritual Beast card from your deck, and normally one of the cards that you're going to be banishing is going to be a Winda, so you can tag out into her later. So Kanahawk is great for setting up for your first turn plays. The second best card to open up with alongside Elder is probably going to be Spiritual Beast Rapengu. Now, Rapengu, like I mentioned earlier, the synergy with Zephyrimpilica is that is in its effect, actually. So once per turn, you can banish one Ritual Beast monster from your extra deck and send one Ritual Beast monster with the same type as that monster from your deck to the graveyard. So if Zephyrimpilica does end up in your extra deck, you can actually banish her from your extra deck, which is really nice because you fuel your Banish Zone, and you can send another Tamer from your deck to the graveyard, which is nice because then you can get it out of the graveyard with cards such as Spiritual Beast Apoleo, or with any of your other tamers. So Apoleo allows you to banish a Ritual Beast card in your graveyard, and all Ritual Beast monsters that you control gain 500 attack and defense until the end of this turn, which is really nice. So Apoleo is 1800 attack. Under its own effect, it'll be 2300, so you can attack over a majority of monsters in the game right now. So it's actually really good as just a standalone monster. But of course, in conjunction with all of the other cards, you can start refueling your Banish Zone and continue to go for additional fusion plays. Anyway, to cap off the Ritual Beast monsters, we play one copy of Spiritual Beast Petalfin. She's only really here for the name, but sometimes you'll want to use her effect, where once per turn you can banish one Ritual Beast card from your hand, then target one card that your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So this is kind of nice for removing problem monsters, for baiting out negation, for clearing out back row, a variety of different things that you can use her for. And the last monster that we play is one copy of Maxi, just to deter our opponent from special summoning and all that good stuff. So yeah, pretty low monster count, 17 monsters I believe. So yeah, next off we're going to go into the spell cards. Okay, so for the spell cards, starting off, we're playing one copy of Oracle of Zephyr. Now, this is a field spell variant of the Ritual Beast deck. So Oracle of Zephyr is great because it can actually allow you to search out your Zephyr Pelica when you activate it. It also has the effect of, if you summon a fusion monster, you can actually special summon one monster from your hand. So if you use Zephyr Pelica as a material for the summon of an ulti Ritual Beast monster, you can actually special summon another monster straight from your hand, which is great for swarming the field and actually going for some OTKs. But keep in mind that because you special summon it from the hand, you can only special summon that Ritual Beast monster once per turn, so that's the special summon used up there. So that's important to keep in mind when moving forward. Anyway, next off, we play one copy of Brain Research Lab as our other field spell. Now, I only like to play one. Some people prefer two. For now, I just like playing one because I also play some copies of Terraforming to search them out. But Brain Research Lab, essentially, if you don't know what it does, allows you to, once per turn, you can normal summon one Psychic-type monster in addition to your normal summon or set. And if you do, you place a Psychic counter on this card. And if this card is removed from the field, you take 1,000 damage for every Psychic counter that's on it. But the important thing is that this basically changes your any tamer in your hand into an elder. So you can normal summon your Spiritual Beast monster, and then with Brain Research Lab on the field, you can summon any of your other tamers, your Lara, your Wen, your Zephyr Pelica, even your Winda, and then you can go for your fusion plays that way. So it's just essentially a elder replacement for your opening hands. And of course, to search these cards out, we play two copies of Terraforming because we want to see them as soon as possible. Of course, that is if you don't have Elder already. And the next spell that we play is actually Spell and Trap Removal. We play 3 copies of Twin Twisters because we do not like Solemn Strikes and things, because Ulti Kanahawk is still limited. Why? I don't know, actually, but because Ulti Kanahawk's limited, you do not want him to be destroyed. And if he's sent to the graveyard, or even worse, if he's banished, you're almost guaranteed to lose the duel because you don't have access to him, because he is one of the most important cards in the deck. So Twin Twister is really great for getting rid of Solemn Strikes, Solemn Warnings, and things like that out of the way so that your Ulti Kanahawk can come to the field safely. So next off, we're playing 2 copies of Ritual Beast Return. Now, Return is a really good card, and I didn't really get my chance to show it off in the Wind Witch Ritual Beast dual videos and all the commentaries and things like that, but I do have combo videos coming up showing you the potential of Ritual Beast Return, because it does add a lot to the deck, especially if you open with something like a Kanahawk or a Pengu. This is essentially like the not the Terraforming engine, the Field Spell engine, where it allows you to put additional bodies on the field if you don't open with Elder. But anyway, yes. Speaking of additional ways to put bodies on the field without Elder, we also play 1 copy of Emergency Teleport, so you can easily bring one of your tamers onto the field in addition to your summon of your Spiritual Beast monster, and then you can go for your contact fusions that way. And of course, to round off all the spell cards, we play everyone's favorite Floodgate Dimensional Fissure, which is at 1 for a good reason. So any monster sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Dimensional Fissure is absolutely amazing in conjunction with Rapengu, because Rapengu can banish something from your extra deck, and whatever is supposed to send to the graveyard will get banished instead, which fuels our banish zone, which makes our combos that much longer, so we can get additional searches. Right? So yeah, that does it for the spell cards. Next off, we're going to go into the trap cards. So for the trap cards, starting off, we're playing 3 copies of Ritual Beast Steeds, one of the strongest cards in the archetype, because you can destroy monsters on the field up to the number of Ritual Beast monsters that you control, so that's absolutely amazing for clearing fields, and it's always chainable, so you can always disrupt your opponent whenever you feel is necessary. Next off, we're only playing 2 copies of Ritual Beast Ambush, because 3 gets kind of cloggy, although 3 does work. I used to play 3 all the time, but cutting it down for 2 for space reasons. Ambush, though, you can target one of your Ritual Beast Tamer monsters and one of your Spiritual Beast monsters that are banished or in your graveyard and special summon them both. You cannot special summon anything except for Ritual Beast monsters during the turn you activate this card, but that is fine because you're normally going to be activating this on your opponent's turn, either to swarm the field to get more monsters for steeds to blow up, or more monsters on the field so steeds can blow up more things. You're not going to blow up your own monsters, of course, but or you activate during your opponent's end phase where you can bring stuff back, and then on your turn you can go for your fusion plays. Of course, it's important to use this on your opponent's turn because that way when it comes back to your turn, the special summon restriction on each of your monsters is removed, so you can special summon them once again that turn. Okay, anyway, moving on, we're playing 1 copy of Torrential Tribute because there's this nice thing where you can do where if your opponent summons a monster, you can tag out with your ulti Ritual Beast monster and then flip Torrential Tribute. Because return to the extra deck is a cost, and summoning is during the resolution of the effect. Resolution happens backwards, so Torrential Tribute nukes the field. You summon back your Ritual Beast monsters from your banish zone, and your opponent basically loses everything while you still keep your monsters. So that's a really nice thing to keep in mind with Torrential Tribute. Next off, because this is a pure variant, we're actually playing a lot of traps. So in these traps, we're playing 2 copies of Lose 1 Turn. You're probably wondering how you're using Lose 1 Turn in a deck like Ritual Beast, which special summons a lot. The cool thing about Ritual Beast is that when you activate your ulti Ritual Beast effect to return to the extra deck, it's a cost. So during that time, your field is going to be empty, so you can activate your Lose 1 Turn. And then you'll summon back, of course, your monsters. And they're already summoned in defense mode, so it doesn't really matter anyway. And yeah, you basically bypass all of the restrictions, Lose 1 Turn, and you're not really affected at all, while your opponent essentially loses their entire turn when they summon their monsters and they're all switched to defense mode. He can't attack over your stuff, so that's always really good. And of course, the stuff you summon back on your opponent's turn, you can always switch to attack mode on your turn, and you can go enter the battle phase and all that good stuff. Okay, so next off, we're playing 1 copy of Macrocosmos because we want things banished. So Macrocosmos is probably one of the best cards in the game that can help us do that. And in conjunction with that, we also play more Floodgates in the form of Imperial Order, which negates all spell cards on the field, which is really nice. It just shuts down so many decks right now. You don't even have to destroy things like Dragonic Diagram or your Twin Twisters. You can just flip your Imperial Order, and if they don't have an out to it, then they basically lose access to half the cards that they play. Okay, so next off, we're actually playing 3 copies of Solemn Strike. Now, I don't have my Solemn Strikes on me right now because I sold them, but 3 copies of Solemn Strikes really, really powerful in this deck because it shuts down your opponent's monster effects, protects your ulti Conhawks, prevents your opponent from swarming the field with large monsters. Really, really good card. And the last card that we play is actually going to be 1 copy of Solemn Warning. Again, just negating summons and all that good stuff. So yeah, that does it for the main deck. Next off, gonna go into the side deck. Okay, so for the side deck, starting off, we're playing 3 copies of Flying Sea. Now, Flying Sea is basically like a dimensional barrier. If your opponent's going first and they're playing a XYZ heavy deck like Zodiacs, you can just throw that Flying Sea onto their field. As long as they don't have like Barrage or Chalice or something like that, then this will shut down their turn. So it's really good hand trap to have. Next off, speaking of hand traps, we're actually playing 3 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit because it's so good for destroying things like Dragonic Diagrams and destroying your opponent's monsters on the field like Oviraptor and things like that, so they can't continue their combos. Really, really good card. Also stops Zodiacs too. If they activate like Brawl Ball or something, you destroy it. They get their search, but they lose their monsters and they have to have another way to put another monster on the field. Okay, so next card that we play is 1 copy of Raigeki for the board wipes, and we're going to extend that a little bit to Dark Hole as well, because if you have ulti Petalfin on your side of the field, she cannot be destroyed by card effects, so you can Dark Hole easily and protect your own monsters, essentially. So that's really nice. You don't lose anything, your opponent loses everything. And to top off the side deck, we're playing some more traps. We're playing 3 copies of Quaking Mirror Force. Quaking Mirror Force is great because your opponent will be very tempted to attack over your monsters in an attempt to like bait out your steeds or something like that. But if you Quaking Mirror Force them, then they don't really have anything they can do about it. Their monsters get flipped face down, and whatever other follow-up plays they try during main phase 2, you still have your steeds and all that stuff ready for. Now, of course, Ritual Beasts, of course, have a lot of back row that they play, so to protect that, we play 3 copies of Starlight Road, also because we had some space in the extra deck, so throwing a Stardust Dragon in there for the Starlight Road is always not a bad option. So yeah, that does it for the side deck. Pretty simple and straightforward. Next off, we're going to go into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, starting off, we're playing 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, which is absolutely amazing for shutting down your opponent's graveyard. Really good against decks like True King Dinosaurs. The next card that we play is 1 copy of Digesto Emerald, which is really good for shuffling back your ulti Kanahawk should you lose him to like a Kaiju or a Solemn Strike or something like that that you accidentally ran into. It's completely fine as long as you have access to the Emerald. Really easy to make though because Winda is a level 4, so much easier now than it was before to make your Emerald to recycle things back. Next off, we play 1 copy of Lightning Chidori. I don't play Castel because Chidori is basically a double Castel. You can target, when this card is XYZ summoned, you target 1 set card your opponent controls, return that target to the bottom of the deck. Then you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card and target 1 face-up card that your opponent controls and return to the top of their deck. So Chidori is absolutely amazing. Doesn't shuffle things back into your opponent's deck like Castel does, but you can definitely make them start like drawing bricks over and over again with Chidori. So that's always good. Sets them back a turn. Next card, we play 1 copy of Tornado Dragon because we do not like back row, and additional destruction is always good. And because we have Steeds to deal with monsters on our opponent's turn, having Tornado Dragon to deal with things like their spell cards, like field spells and everything like that, which are becoming more and more popular now, is always good too. So Tornado Dragon, definitely a huge plus and boost to this deck. To cap off the XYZs in this deck, we play 1 copy of Utopia and 1 copy of Utopia Lightning because sometimes we have problems getting over the larger monsters on the field, and so this definitely helps us do that. That does it for the XYZs. Next off, we're going to go into the Synchros and the Fusions. So for the Synchros, we only play 1, so we play the Stardust Dragon as a tech for the Starlight Road. Otherwise, you can't really summon it in this deck, unfortunately, unlike the Wind Witch version. But the fusions are what matters, and we'll get into that right now, with the Ritual Beast Ulti Kanahawk being the most important fusion, of course, in this deck, and it's limited on the ban list. But Ulti Kanahawk allows you to target 2 of your banished Ritual Beast cards, return to the graveyard, and then you can add a Ritual Beast monster, or Ritual Beast card from your deck to your hand, so he basically allows you to search out everything in your deck, your Steeds, your Ambush, and all that, so really, really good card to keep in circulation. You do not want to lose it to a Solemn Strike and all that good stuff. Next off, we're playing 3 copies of Ritual Beast Ulti Apoleo. We play 3 copies so that you can send 1 with Rapengu, you have 1 to summon, and you have 1 as backup to access if your first one so happens to get removed from the field. But Apoleo has a nice effect where if it attacks, it is actually unaffected by all of the card effects, which actually kind of sucks too because your mini Apoleo, the one in your main deck, the Ulti Apoleo will lose the effect of the boost, the 500 attack boost when he attacks. Kind of a trade-off, but it's also really great because it's not affected by mirror forces and all those other good things, right? The other cool thing about Ulti Apoleo is that it has 2600 attacks, so you can attack over a lot of the more popular 2500 attack monsters in the game right now, so that's always a good plus. Next card that we play is 2 copies of Ritual Beast Ulti Petalfin. Ulti Petalfin's great because of his 2800 defense, which allows you to defend yourself from a lot of attacks, and under Apoleo, she'll actually have 3300 defense, so that's just amazing. She also has the effect where she cannot be destroyed by card effects, so the only way your opponent can really remove her is through battle, which is not really happening, and through targeting effects, which she can dodge by returning to the extra deck and summoning 2 other Ritual Beast monsters from your banished zone back to your side of the field. So Petalfin is just an absolutely amazing wall for you to sit on when you need her. And last but not least, we play 2 copies of Ritual Beast Ulti Pelio. Ulti Pelio is a big boss monster for the deck, 3200 attack, so it can help you attack over some things. Really easy to bring out with cards like Winda, but also if you have to summon it, you have to use a Ulti Ritual Beast monster and 1 Tamer and 1 Spiritual Beast monster. So really heavy investment to make the Pelio, but he has a really nice effect where during either player's turn, when a spell or trap card or a monster effect is activated, you can banish one Ritual Beast card from your hand, negate the activation if you do destroy it. Of course, it's not once per turn, so it's really nice. And the cool thing is that you can actually search a bunch with Kanahawk, your ulti Kanahawk. You search out a bunch of monsters that you don't need, like Rapengus, Elders, Wens, Laras, anything that you have excess of in your deck. You can search them into your hand, summon your ulti Gaia Pelio, and the ulti Gaia Pelio can just banish those from your hand to negate a bunch of effects. I only really summon ulti Gaia Pelio during the late game, and he only really comes out if I run out of steeds. If I go through all 3 of my steeds, then I go for the ulti Gaia Pelio and start negating things as my last-ditch effort to stay in the game, right? But usually the game will end before those situations arise. But anyway, yeah, that does it for the extra deck, and that does it for the deck profile. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe for more Ritual Beast content, and leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve. And until next time, take care.